up, guys? I'm Mike. I'm here with Pat Sheridan, one of the guitarists of Fit for an Autopsy. And the Carry the Flame tour has been going on for about 2 weeks now. How's it been going so far, man?
It's probably one of the best tours we've ever done. I feel like we always get pigeonholed, you know, like we have to go out with like very specific sounding bands.
Right.
But the cool thing about this tour is it's a very unique, different tour. Like every band is a little bit different, and you know, like Invent Animate's kind of like not as heavy, a little more melodic. They get a little more singing. They're like interesting and cool. And then we're like, you know, aggressive, heavy, like borderline death metal, newer style, whatever you want to call it, deathcore, whatever we get lumped into. And then, you know, Fit for a King is like a super heavy, like borderline, like hardcore band. And then Amir is just like low and dark and, you know, heavy sounding. And then After the Burial is like super fancy, and it's just different. You know, everybody has elements that are similar. So the crowds are really responding in a different way, and you know, everything's been great. People have been paying attention, and it's cool. So
getting some new fans, I'm sure.
Yeah, and getting to see some old ones that are stoked to come out to a tour like this.
Yeah.
And I think that's the trick now. You know, you gotta make sure the tour is appealing on every level, you know, to get a good crowd. So, and the crowds have been great. So thank you everybody for coming out.
Yeah. Awesome.
I have 2 separate Starbucks cups because I have a problem. If Starbucks is watching, holler back.
Sponsor this, man. Yeah, as you mentioned, you got a bunch of great bands touring with y'all. Have you toured with any of them before?
We have toured with Amir before, and on this package, that's it. We did Suicide Silence. I think it was Suicide Silence, Amir, Within the Ruins. I can't remember. They all run into each other. But no, we've definitely done a full U.S. With their previous lineup.
Yeah.
So, and I have to say, the new lineup sounds great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you toured with them before?
Yeah,
now that they have Josh Travis and everything.
Yeah, I toured with them before, and the weird thing is that I'm friends with, you know, everyone.
Yeah.
And you know, so I have a very non-biased view, and I think they sound great. You know, the new lineup is carrying the music well, and it's impressive how, you know, I mean, Josh is a great guitar player, and he brought on the right team, and it sounds really good. So they're killing it.
Yeah. So the Great Collapse comes out in a week, man, March 17th. What can we expect this album to sound like?
Well, I mean, it sounds like Fit for an Autopsy. I mean, if you've heard the 3 tracks that we've released, I know you guys said you haven't seen the video we released today for Black Mammoth, but you know, Heads Will Hang is, I think we got a little bit more of that melodic element in that song, but still like crushingly heavy and like very Fit for an Autopsy.
Yeah.
And then Iron Moon is just like, that's a banger. You know, that's like traditional Fit for an Autopsy style, like just in and out, heavy and aggressive and mean as fuck. You know, that's one of my favorites on the record. And then you know, and Black Mammoth it's kind of different. It's a little more mid-tempo. It's super heavy, and it's also pretty pissed off. It's a little political, and you know, we released the video today, and I'm not going to really get into what it's about, but I would like everybody to go watch it. You know, it's a definite touch on some social issues that are going on currently right now, and you know, everybody's real big and talking about oppression and different groups of people that are being oppressed by the government and by, you know, social standards. But I think there's some very important things that we've been missing, and some people that we really need to pay attention to. So this video we put out, you know, it means a lot to us, and you know, we want everybody to go into watching it with an open mind. So please look up the video Black Mammoth, give it a chance. I don't want to get too far. I want people to go into it with a clear head. So please check that out.
Awesome. What makes the Great Collapse different from Absolute Hope, Absolute Hell?
Everything's a progression, man.
Yeah.
You know, like songwriting wise, it's different. I mean, we had the opportunity to start on some songs on the last record that got used on this record. Like Iron Moon was a song that was started for the last record, but we decided to wait for it because we felt like we could build the song a little better. So we took some time with that one, and it ended up on this record. And then, you know, we tossed some riffs around, and Will is, you know, the key writer, and he handles the majority of the composing because he's a genius.
Yeah.
And you know, you give him a couple of riffs and the guy can, you know, make like 6 albums. So, you know, we tossed some riffs around and we talked about ideas and what direction we'd like to go in. and then we were doing a bunch of touring, and while we were touring, you know, Will was able to write some parts, send them to us. We were, you know, make some changes, send them back, do the whole thing, and hey, try this, do that. And it was a much slower process. Usually our writing process is like boom, 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 boom. It's start to finish, and then the record's recorded and it's done. But there was a little bit more time. Yeah. So the songs are a little bit more textured, like there's a little more stuff going on. The leads are really cool. It's a little less straightforward, but still fit for an autopsy. We did do a little touch of clean singing, and not because we were trying to prove anything or do anything specific, but because we felt it fit and it felt natural. And with Joe being able to do that stuff, it was just time for us to try something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and we hope that people understand, like, we're never going to change doing what we want to do. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. We're going to do what we want. So if we want to do a whole record with clean singing, I don't think we ever will, but then that's what we're going to do. Yeah. So, you know, we did that, and that seemed to go over great. Heads Will Hang's got a lot of tension. That's like pretty much the only song on the record with real clean vocals.
Yeah.
But, you know, we progress. Hellbound was melodic and real big and angry, and then Absolute Hope was a little more melodic, a little bit more open, but still angry. But I think Great Collapse is heavier because we did do some more melodic stuff. We allowed the heavier parts to stand out on their own. You know, like if you write a song that's just heavy, 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 heavy all the way through, you know, it's never, nothing's gonna pop as the heaviest part. But if you do some stuff that's like, you know, maybe a little more melodic or maybe not as driving and heavy, and then you nail that part, you know, and just smash it home, you get that whole, oh my God.
Yeah, it makes it that much more powerful.
So that's what I mean by more textured and more interesting, you know.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Awesome.
I hope people like it.
You touched on the writing process a little bit. Can you maybe explain a little more for this album?
So we have a really unique thing about Fit for an Autopsy. Will and I feel like I talk about this in every interview. So and it's good. I like talking about it because it's important that people understand why things are the way they are with Fit for an Autopsy. Will is a producer engineer at Graphic Nature Audio. He owns his own studio.
Yeah, I know he produces a ton of albums.
He's got his hands in so many great records all the time, and the guy is a monster. I mean, he's done My Art, he's done it. I mean, I can go on for 2 hours with all the great records that he's done.
Yeah.
So he can't tour with us. He just cannot. It's not possible. But Will and I are the ones that started Fit for an Autopsy. So I don't want to lose, first of all, working with one of my most favorite people on earth. He's like
he's
one of my
your best friends,
friends in the world.
Yeah.
And I love working with him because, I mean, creatively, he gets it, and he's not afraid to tell me that I'm an idiot and that I'm doing something wrong, and I need that, you know, I need, like, tough love, and he gets it. So working with other people, it's not like working with Will. So I don't want to lose that. Plus, he's a genius, you know, and, like, you give a guy a seed, and, you know, he grows a tree, you know, breaks it down, builds a house, makes a meal. Like, he's insane. So we have that. So we go out on tour, and the whole time we're on tour, we're tossing around riffs, we're talking about concepts, we're working on ideas. You know, we're emailing, Dropboxing, you know, texting, recording stuff while we're on the, you know, in the van or on the bus, and then sending it home, and, you know, and then Will takes all these different ideas, and sometimes he uses them, and sometimes he's just got better ideas, and then he creates this thing. So we have this unfair advantage almost, where we can write music literally all year long.
That's true,
and never really have to stop touring or doing anything.
Yeah.
So it gets tiring for the touring guys because we're out breaking our backs, you know, 200 days a year, and we do tour a lot.
Yeah.
And we are always on tour, and he's home, you know, breaking his ass in the studio, and then spending hours a night writing music. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic, which is very different than a lot of bands that are out there. But it just works for Fit for an Autopsy. And the more we do it, the more we realize, like, yeah, this is sick. Like, this is like this cool thing where we can leave a few ideas and then go on tour for a month and then come home and him be like, hey, here's 6 songs. What do you think? You know? So it's cool.
That's great.
Yeah. And no, Will's never going to leave the band. Because if he leaves, I leave. That's it. Once he's gone, I'm gone. That's it. Fit for an Autopsy will run its course with me and Will in the band. And that's it. Once it's over, that's it. We're done. Once we wash our hands of it, no more. But I don't think we're ready to do that for
I hope not, man. So do you think you guys are going to start another tour since the album's coming out right after this?
God. You have no idea. My life is
I'm sure
insane.
you can't talk about it too much.
I'll talk about it. I just can't get into like certain specifics.
Yeah.
We're after this tour. We're going to do a headliner. We're taking a couple of really interesting bands out with us. A little bit different than what I was saying before. Like we're trying to get away from just touring with bands that people think we should tour with.
Yeah.
So we're going to go out with a couple of bands. We're going to make the announcement soon, and that's going to be June, July. And then I think it might even be end of May, June, July. I don't know. They're working out the dates now. But then after that, we're home for like 3.5 weeks, and then we fly to Europe, and we're doing festival season in Europe. We're doing like Wacken Open Air, Summer Breeze, Destruction Derby. Like those are going to be like insane days for us because that's like some days you're playing in front of 10,000 people, some days you're playing in front of 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Like Wacken Open Air was like I think 106,000 people a day last year. That's insanity. So I'm gonna probably pee myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish the U.S. was like that, man. I wish we had some big festivals like that.
There's a handful, but they're not.
Yeah.
It's not like that. You know, here you play 30,000, 40,000. There you're playing, 100,000. Download Festival and all those crazy big ones. Those are the ones, But so we're doing that, and then we have a handful of dates with that band Architects.
Yeah.
And I just got an interesting phone call today about the fall. So we come back, we do right up until September. So we'll get back right around September, and we'll probably be off like September and then maybe half of October. And then we got a really interesting phone call about a couple of tours that are kind of like in our grasp, and either one of them could be insane. So like we're going to be going, I think, right up until December. My wife is super mad at me. She's not. She's super supportive, but she gets it. But we're going to be busy. This year is a good year for us. People are really responding, and we got to go for it. We want to give back.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about some of the influences you guys have in writing this album. I see a lot of people mention Gojira, or there may be some other bands, life stuff in general.
Dude, you want to compare my band to Gojira? I will take it every day. I'll put this out there.
Yeah.
Gojira is definitely one of our favorite bands, and we're definitely influenced by bands like Gojira and Meshuggah. Like older bands like Lamb of God. There's Black Sabbath influence. There's Morbid Angel influence. There's all kinds of different things like post-rock influences like Isis the band, and bands like Pelican, and even like Explosions in the Sky, and like just stuff that's very different than what we play.
Yeah.
So you're starting to hear the elements of those things coming through in the more melodic stuff. Yeah. And then the heavy stuff is just everything heavy. Meshuggah and Gojira for sure are like my two go-tos. And then I listen, like I said before, like John Mayer and Steely Dan, but there's a lot of social stuff on this record. Like there's some stuff about Standing Rock and the stuff that's going on there, and then that there's some stuff based loosely on the Syrian refugee crisis thing that happened, and that song Heads Will Hang. People don't know it, but that song Heads Will Hang is kind of based around that, like the idea of like how people negatively responded to that in a way where like these people were forced out of their homes by choices made by their government and by people that they have no contact with. They're losing their homes, they can't take care of their children, and they need help. And this is supposed to be the melting pot of the world that's supposed to help everyone, and now people are like, keep them away, we don't want them here, Muslim this, refugee that, blah, blah, and all this different stuff. And it's like, whoa, like, that's crazy. And it's really easy to say that from the safety of your living room in a country that never has war on its own soil. So if you've watched the video, that's where we kind of came up with that concept. It's loosely based around that.
Yeah,
so there's definitely a lot of stuff going on in that aspect. But again, we're not a political band. We're just a band that takes in the things that we see. Some of the stuff is about how bad people are. Some of the stuff is about how the government does shitty things. Some of it's about how, the food and drug industries poison people. And like, a lot of it's about like just how shitty human beings can be to each other. Yeah. So there's a lot. And I know it sounds like a lot, but we try to take what means stuff to us and put it in our music, and not just write music to get a rise out of people. We write music because we want to educate people on how we feel. It doesn't mean they have to agree. It doesn't mean they have to sign on to what we're doing. But we feel like, you know what? Just respect the fact that we're willing to go out on a limb for our belief system the way that maybe you are. And we don't have to agree, but the only way that you can learn is to discuss and tell people how you feel. Exactly. So if we're making people think, then we're doing what we want to do.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Were there any significant gear or rig changes?
Oh, yeah.
I saw that you recently started using the Fishman pickups.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it's been almost a year and a half now.
Okay.
I was the first guy to sign on with them with their Fishman, the Fluence
Awesome.
Moderns.
Yeah.
Ken Susi, who is one of my favorite people in the world. He plays guitar for Unearth, and he works for Fishman.
Yeah.
I was working with another company, and I wasn't real happy, and I moved on from them. Before we even hooked up, I just decided it was time for me to go. And then Ken came to me, sent me a pair of pickups, or actually I sent him my guitar and he put them in, and I fell in love. Really love that stuff. So we're using that. I use the Fishman Modern in the modern setting. There's two different settings, two different voices. There's a push-pull, so you can go from voicing one, which is a much more modern, like I guess you'd say active sound, and then you pull what would be your tone knob. You can put in the volume too, either way, but pull that tone knob and you get voicing 2, which is a much more rounder, kind of passive tone. So I love those pickups, and I'm a huge fan. Use Ibanez guitars. I mean, I've been working with Ibanez for 6 years now, and they're super good to me. I did recently get a couple of really cool guitars from them, and I have one of them with me. One I bought with my own money because I love the company so much. And the other one they sent me. You know, I don't get everything for free. They take great care of me, but I do spend my own money on the product because I believe in it.
Yeah.
And so I got those, and we just got a new backline. Mesa Boogie gave us a great deal. They're, my favorite amplifier company because of the consistency. And we just got a whole new backline. I'm running the JP2C 100-watt Mark Series amplifier, and I love that amp. I really believe that there are very few modern amps that do all of the things that this thing can do. So I'm a pretty big fan of that. And just the normal stuff, Ernie Ball strings, and Hosian's using Gretsch drums and Zildjian cymbals, and it's just the standard stuff we always use. But if you get some pictures tonight of our backline, we got a fancy new backline that we're pretty stoked on. So awesome. Thank you, Mason Boogie, for hooking us up.
Now, you recently did the playthrough for the Heads Will Hang video, which I love.
Thanks.
As an amateur guitarist myself. You can kind of get an idea of the tabs.
I also am an amateur guitarist.
And of course, we just found out you released the Black Mammoth video today. Mm-hmm. Are there going to be any more videos or not before release date?
Yeah. I think we may do an official video. There's been some talk about it for Black Mammoth, but right now we put out the video that we put out. It's kind of I didn't say it before, but it touches it's like kind of documentary style video where it's a very informational thing. And so again, I don't want to get into it too much, but as far as videos go, I think we're done releasing videos until maybe a little later on. We might do some live video stuff, but we're always trying to get content out, and that's the most important thing for us, is that we can consistently keep pushing content. So, I mean, you can expect maybe a couple more playthroughs. I know my playthrough came out. I know Will's got a playthrough coming out. I know Tim's got a playthrough coming out. Blue, our new bass player, he has 2 playthroughs coming out. Hossein has 3 playthroughs coming out on the drums.
Awesome, man, yeah.
So yeah, we're not fucking around. We're gonna put out as much as we can. And I don't let everybody know. Something I get asked a lot is about tabs. It's really hard to actually sit down and do that because we are on the road so much. We want to do it. So I think what I'm going to do is in the downtime, Tim and I are going to try to do some Guitar Pro stuff and try. And I think we're just going to release them. I don't even think we're going to charge for them or whatever. I think I might just put them up on my page and say, hey, you want them? Click the button and download them, and you can have them. I'll probably do a couple of songs from each album and then just start building it from there. And maybe we'll just do like a page where they'll kind of always live on the internet and people can get them. Because people want to know how to, I don't know why. It's not fancy or anything. But, I mean, it's cool. We'll get them up there sooner or later.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, that's all I got, man. Thank you so much, Pat.
Thanks.
The Great Collapse comes out March 17th. Make sure to pick it up. Come see these guys on tour.
Yeah.
And that's it. This is Mike Talks Metal. We'll see you next time.
Awesome.